We're just a couple days into the 2022 World Junior Championships, and already all 5 Habs prospects are having a pretty good tournament. Hey Habs fans, welcome back to Habs Hockey Report right here on All Habs Hockey Magazine's YouTube channel. We're part of Rocket Sports Media, and we're so glad that you're back with us for another edition of the show. We are well into August already, believe it or not, and really, training camps are just around the corner. I think you can start saying, is it October yet? Because it's going to be here before you know it. We have a great show for you today, have some news around the Montreal Canadiens organization and some former members of the organization to catch you up on today. Also going to give you a reminder about our call to action to submit your fan videos. You still have some time to get those in, so I want to remind you about those and hear a couple of your reactions from last week's feedback forum question. If you haven't done so already, now is the perfect time to tap that subscribe button and the notification bell. You never want to miss an episode of Habs Hockey Report. It comes out every Thursday, and get that subscription in now so that you know that once the season starts and once training camps start happening in a few weeks, you will have access every week to our show, notifications about it, and all of the latest news for the Montreal Canadiens, the Laval Rocket, and Habs prospects. So let's get started. Things were pretty much all quiet on the Canadiens front this week. Not a ton going on as far as the Montreal Canadiens organization itself, the NHL franchise. We did see, of course, the Canadiens touching base with some of their players. We saw, Jake Allen had some comments in the media talking about a little bit about, getting in shape and getting ready for the season again. We saw some fun that some of them were having. We've seen a video going around that Carey Price and Angela Price had posted, and this is just adorable. What better use for that leaf blower than getting the kids' hair and just the giggles of the little girls, Olivia and her sister, with Dad Carey there, just making their day. Obviously, love to see the family videos from some of the guys like that. And we also saw Jonathan Drouin make an appearance this week, participating in a ball hockey game in advance of the tennis tournament that's happening in Montreal right now. We haven't seen a whole lot of Jonathan Drouin since he did not finish the regular season. Remember, he had to have wrist surgery, and so he's been out for quite a while. But he did make an appearance at this ball hockey game. In fact, shortly after that, he did an interview with La Presse and Nicolas Richard with La Presse speaking to him. Jonathan Drouin told him, quote, "It feels good to play hockey for real." I'm not sure that ball hockey counts as playing hockey for real, but we get what Jonathan Drouin is saying. The question is going to be, for me, a couple of things. Is Jonathan Drouin really in shape? He actually looks like he's put on a little bit of weight, so I'm not sure if his summer training has ramped up enough yet to get him back into good game conditioning form. But the other really kind of pivotal point here with Jonathan Drouin really comes down to whether or not Kent Hughes is going to trade him. As we've said multiple times, and even many of you have said this as well, that Jonathan Drouin's contract is one of the bad contracts currently on the Montreal Canadiens organization's roster. And, paying him way too much money, the term, for not he hasn't finished a season in a couple of years, and when he has been playing, hasn't been all that productive and really impactful on the ice. So he talked a little bit about that he's really looking for. He only got to play about a game and a half under Marty St. Louis, and so he talked a bit with La Presse about how he's excited to start attending St. Louis practices and start getting coached by him and play under him. But really, the big question is, will he even be on the roster at training camp, or will Kent Hughes, who we know still needs to clear cap space, Kent Hughes' job is not done yet prior to opening night. So the big question is going to be, A, come training camp, if Jonathan Drouin is still there, is he in shape? And how has that wrist healed? Or B, will he even still be on the roster come opening night? Certainly things to watch out for. As far as Habs prospects are concerned, as we said at the top of the show, it is World Juniors time. In fact, I'm sporting the USA Hockey gear today since I do live in the States. And very, very fun to see the World Juniors getting underway. Boy, it is. Attendance is very down. If you've caught any of the games so far, it is basically like the friends and family special, unfortunately. So, maybe it's just that it's August and it's summertime and people have vacations planned. But unfortunately, attendance seems to be way down so far. It'll be interesting to see what the viewership numbers are like for the television broadcasts as well. But all of that aside, it is the World Juniors and it's exciting hockey to watch. And the Habs prospects have gotten off to a really nice start. Jan Mysak played in the first game of the tournament. He is the captain for Team Czechia. Mysak and Czechia with the win, but Mysak himself had a goal and an assist in that first game. He looked tremendous out on the ice. Lots of, good vision, skating well, and obviously that shot is still there. Joshua Waugh and Team Canada played their first game on Wednesday night. Latvia gave Team Canada a run for their money for the first period or so. After 20 minutes, it was tied at 1-1, which I think surprised more than a few people, including myself, that it wasn't a complete runaway for Team Canada. They did eventually kind of wear Latvia down and won that game 5-2. But Latvia certainly made it interesting. Their goaltender certainly helped them out for the first half of that game. Joshua Waugh playing on the top line with Mason McTavish. Waugh ended up with just one assist on the night. You can see the areas where Joshua Waugh has skill. You can see the areas that Joshua Waugh needs to work on. And part of that is really protecting the puck. His protection of the puck or clearing space for line mates is an area that he could certainly work on. Riley Kidney was an extra forward. He did not play in that game, so we'll look to see if Riley Kidney scratches the lineup here soon. Oliver Kapanen and Petteri Nurmi playing for Team Finland. While neither one of them got on the points scoring, no goals, no assists for either of them in Finland's first game of the tournament, but Finland did win that first game decisively, and the two of them on the roster in the lineup certainly contributed towards that for sure. So it's been a fun first couple of days. Canada will play Slovakia on Thursday evening, and Team USA will be playing Switzerland as well. And we also have Finland taking on Czechia. So we'll have later on Thursday, we'll see Jan Mysak facing off against Kapanen and Nurmi as the World Junior Championship continues. So very fun to watch there. Elsewhere this week, we've seen video come out from Slovakia of Juraj Slivkovský and his summer training looking very strong, wearing a really sweet looking pair of Team Slovakia skates, by the way, which were pretty nice. But looking strong in his summer training, looking like he's having a ton of fun, and it's not going to be long before he is back in North America and in Montreal with his focus on starting the season. So it'll be fun to see that happen as well. In our Rocket Boosters segment this week, we're talking, of course, about the Laval Rocket. In our Rocket Booster, we mentioned last week that the Laval video coach, Daniel Harvey, had been promoted to the Montreal Canadiens to the Montreal Canadiens franchise, up to the NHL position as their video coach, because that position became vacant. And we kind of wondered aloud last week on the show whether or not Laval would hire another new video coach, if they would revert to how things had been done for years and years and years, and that was goaltending coach Marco Marciano also playing double duty as the video coach. Well, we now have an answer to that, and thankfully, as we had hoped on the show last week, Laval has hired Charles Junot. I can't confirm what Junot has been doing in the world of hockey for the last 2 years, but from 2014 to 2020, Charles Junot served as an assistant coach in the QMJHL for the Rimouski Oceanic, and this is, that's a lengthy stint with Rimouski as an assistant coach, and this is a great natural next step progression to now move to the AHL, move up a league out of junior into the American Hockey League, and now serve as a video coach. This is the kind of development of coaches that we've talked about in past episodes, where it was relevant this summer, that you do like to see. We've talked many times both here and on the Press Zone podcast, which you can find at thepresszone.fm, hosted by myself and our founder and editor-in-chief, Rick Stevens. We've talked many times about how the Laval coaching staff that was aside from Marco Marciano, was a brand new staff this past season and was obviously very successful, taking the team all the way to the conference final. There was a ton of experience behind the bench in Laval between J.F. Uhl, Martin Laperriere, Kelly Buchberger, lots and lots of not only playing experience, but more importantly, coaching experience. Marco Marciano, an extensive coaching career as well. And now you've got someone who is your video coach who also has a good amount of high-level coaching experience, being an assistant coach in the Q for a very competitive and popular team with Rimouski for the last number of years. And so he will be able to bring that expertise to his new position as video coach, which will just help the prospects even more. The other part of this segment that I'll just mention is kind of two names who used to be attached to the Montreal Canadiens organization. One very recently, the other one not so much. Since we're talking about coaches, I'll start with the one who's been removed from the organization for a little bit, and that is former Laval Rocket, St. John's Ice Caps, and Hamilton Bulldogs head coach Sylvain Lefebvre. Remember, Sylvain Lefebvre was the head coach for the Montreal Canadiens AHL affiliate all the way back to when they were with Hamilton and all the way through Laval's inaugural season before he was let go. Sylvain then went on and was an assistant coach for the San Diego Gulls for a bit. He was set a couple of years ago to join the Columbus Blue Jackets coaching staff, and that ended up not happening. But now it was announced this week that Paul Maurice, the brand new head coach of the Florida Panthers, has rounded out his assistant coaching staff and brought on 3 new assistant coaches, one of which is Sylvain Lefebvre. So you will see Sylvain Lefebvre behind an NHL bench this year as Paul Maurice takes the helm in Florida and looks to see what he can do with a Panthers team that was pretty successful last year, and he'll see how all of that advances. So congratulations to Sylvain Lefebvre. It's always great to see former members of the organization's coaching staff continuing their journey and even getting some promotions. The other name I'll mention is Josh Brook. Josh Brook will not be back with Laval. This was kind of the writing on the wall. He wasn't qualified by the Canadiens. We'd seen over the last couple of years, due to injury and so forth, that Josh Brook's development just never really took off, never really got any footing. And in fact, he spent a good deal of last season down in the ECHL. And so we kind of had a good indication that Josh Brook would not be back with the organization. And sure enough, the Calgary Flames have signed him to a PTO. So going to the other side of the continent, and he's going to give things a go there in Calgary. So we wish Josh Brook the best of luck, and we'll see how he does with his PTO with the Calgary Flames. This week on the Habs Fan Hub, we've got a number of things that we want to cover. First and foremost, just want to say a hello to Jay, who is watching from Val d'Or in Quebec. Jay wrote in last week and let us know where he was watching from. So as promised, I always like to do the All Habs Roll Call, and a little stick tap there to Jay watching in Val d'Or. Welcome to the channel. We're glad that you're watching. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done so, Jay. Thanks so much for watching. Also want to remind folks, either remind you, or if you missed last week's show, be sure to go back and watch it, because I put a call to action out. It is Fan Appreciation Month here at Habs Hockey Report, and I want to showcase all of you. Put out a call to all of you to submit a 2-minute or less video of your whatever part of your hockey collection you're most proud of. Maybe you have a collection of Habs jerseys or gear, or hockey cards or pucks, or you've got an incredibly decorated room where you like to watch games with your friends or your family. In last week's video, I gave you details on how long it should be, where you should email that, and the deadline. I'll remind you, the deadline is 11 p.m. Eastern on Friday, August 12th. Now's your chance. I want to take this month and show off to everyone here on the channel what great collections you have, and what you're proud of the most, being a Habs fan or a hockey fan in general. It doesn't have to just be the Montreal Canadiens that you have a collection of. Also, this week's feedback forum question, there was a poll that was put out by the Hockey News last week on Twitter that kind of, some people got very excited about, others were it was a little controversial almost. In fact, on last week's Canadiens Connection podcast, another podcast here at Rocket Sports Media that's hosted by Rick Stevens and Michael Spinella, the two of them actually talked about this and talked about the Hockey News' question of whether or not the NHL should go to, instead of having teams that had a designated goal song, they posed the question, players having individual goal songs. And there are certainly plenty of opinions on either side of that. And Rick and Michael gave their opinions on it and kind of analyzed the pros and cons of the team goal song versus individual goal songs. It's sort of like, the NFL does it a little bit. The most obvious is in Major League Baseball and every batter's walk-up song, basically. And so first, I invite you to go check out that episode of the Canadiens Connection podcast. You can find that right at the top of the screen, or just go to canadiensconnection.fm. It's the most recent episode. Subscribe to the podcast while you're there. It comes out every Saturday. But Rick and Michael really gave a really interesting kind of back and forth about why they do or don't like the idea of individual goal songs. Our feedback forum question for this week here is kind of a little bit of a spin-off of that. And so whether you like the idea of individual goal songs or not, that's fine. What I want to know is, if you had the chance to pick your own individual goal song, what would it be? Would you pick something fun? Would it be rock? Would it be pop? Would it be hip hop? What would it be? Leave that comment down below, and we'll be sure to read those next week on the show. I bet there's going to be some good choices in there. Can't wait to hear what you have to say about those. We also last week had the feedback forum question of with the World Juniors happening in August, would all of you be watching as intently as you normally would if it were happening during its normally scheduled time around Boxing Day and New Year's? Our good friend Dino, of course, says, yeah, I'll follow the tournament, not much for TV, other means, eh? He says he likes to cheer for the underdog with the juniors, which means not Canada usually, which he says crazy, eh? He likes to see the other nations have some success too. I think that's a great attitude to have. Great sportsmanship by Dino, so we appreciate that. Thanks for writing in. Dave also says, I would probably have more of an interest in the World Juniors if some of the Habs U.S. prospects made the squad. Interesting to say that. We mentioned that Lane Hudson, Luke Tuck, and Blake Biondi all did not make the cut for the 2022 roster that's playing right now. They still have an opportunity to make the 2023 roster in December, but those three did not make the cut for this tournament in August. Dave goes on to say, but I may still try catching a few games to see our other prospects as well as some of the 2023 draft eligible players. Thanks for your comment, Dave, and that's a good point too. I mean, that's part of not only is the World Juniors exciting to watch, to cheer for your favorite country or cheer for the prospects that you know belong to the Montreal Canadiens or your favorite team, but it's also a great early kind of scouting opportunity to see the next great class of draft eligible prospects. Connor Bedard, anyone? Did we see what he did at the very beginning of the Team Canada game? Didn't take him long. That shot, boy, whew. What a snipe, let me tell you. So it's fun to watch Connor Bedard and the other draft eligible players for next summer's draft, because that will be here, honestly, before you know it. Thanks everyone for your submissions. Thanks for watching Habs Hockey Report. Check out last week's video right here, and we'll see you back here next Thursday for another episode.